was his habit to accept, to dry himself with something. That's why she assumed, which is a conjecture, Allah knows best. But even, it's hard to say that the hadith shows that either way is necessarily a sunnah. Either way, you look at it, and even when the Prophet ﷺ turned it down, he didn't turn it down and say that there's a special significance for me not using it, or there's a special... He didn't correct her and say, no, it's better for you not to dry yourself after making wudu. Which, if there was some significance to this, if it was a sunnah one way or the other, the assumption is that the Prophet ﷺ would have actually taught her that. If there was a point to be taught, you assume that the Prophet ﷺ would have taught her. So it appears from the hadith that there's no sunnah one way or the other. This is it has nothing to do with the actual ibadah, how a person dries himself or not. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. And before that, also the fact that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam moved to a different place to wash his feet. In the hadith of Aisha, where she described the wudu of the Prophet ﷺ, in detail, he didn't move to a different place to wash his feet. A lot of scholars have assumed, and this is a very reasonable assumption, they have assumed that the reason that he moved to a different place, or that he waited to wash his feet and then moved to a different place to do it, is what?
Let the water drip. Let the water drip and dry itself. And plus, that area is like dirty.
Yes, now that the area is muddy, where he did the rest of the ghusl. So that there won't be mud left on his feet. And it's a very reasonable assumption. Although in the hadith of Aisha, she described that he made wudu first and then made the rest of the ghusl. She didn't say that he postponed washing his feet. So either way a person does it, both have a precedent in the sunnah, but it would seem from the context of the two different ahadith that if a person is in a place like a ceramic bathtub where it won't make a difference whether they do it first or last, and they should do it as in the ayah and wash all of the body parts that are part of wudu first, and then the rest of the body. Now, the next hadith.
I have a question. So, if you do ghusl, you don't have to make wudu, right? But is it like you have to do the wudu and then make the ghusl, or just ghusl itself counts as the wudu?
No, ghusl itself counts as long as all of the body parts are washed. It counts as wudu.
But you don't have to follow the specific sequence of...
As long as all of a person's body is washed, no. You don't have to follow that specific order. And it counts as wudu. It's in the ayah and Surah Al-Na'idah. The next hadith is narrated from Aisha radiallahu anha, and it also there's also a description of. This is not the detailed hadith where Aisha described the wudu of the Prophet ﷺ in detail, but it is a short description of how the Prophet ﷺ made wudu, and especially how much water the Prophet ﷺ used to use. عن أبي سلمة بن عبد الرحمن رضي الله عنه قال دخلت على عائشة رضي الله عنها أنا وأخوها من الرضاعة فسألها عن غسل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من الجنابة فدعا بإناء قدر الصاع فاغتسلت وبيننا وبينها ستر فأفرغت على رأسها ثلاثة قال وكان أزواج النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يأخذن من رؤوسهن حتى تكون كالغفرة. This hadith is narrated by a man named Abu Salama ibn Abdul Rahman. Who is Abu Salama ibn Abdul Rahman? We talked about him before in Sahih Bukhari, I know at least.
I was here.
Yes, I think you did.
Abu Salam. Abdul Rahman.
What did you say?
Abdul Rahman ibn Auf.
Yes, the son of Abdul Rahman ibn Auf. Abu Salama ibn Abdul Rahman is the son of Abdul Rahman ibn Auf. Abu Salama ibn Abdul Rahman is not a Sahabi, he's one of the Tabi'in, but he's one of the most important scholars in that second generation, one of the most important narrators of a hadith, and he's one of the most reliable narrators from a number of people. One of them is Abu Hurairah. If I'm not mistaken, he died in the year 93 or 94, around that time. There was one of those years, I don't remember if it was 93 or 94, they call it Am al-Fuqaha, the year of the Fuqaha, because so many, I think it was 94, so many of the scholars, especially from Medina, died in that 1 year. Abu Salama and Abdul Rahman said, I went to visit Aisha radiallahu anha along with her foster brother and her brother, her milk brother. He didn't, in this narration, at least he didn't specify who that was. But he said, and there was one of her relatives there with her, a mahram, with her, went to visit her. And that man, her foster brother, asked her to describe how the Prophet ﷺ made ghusl from janaba. And they're asking, they know the Quran, they read the Quran, but they want any detail from Aisha about exactly she lived on intimate terms with the Prophet ﷺ. They want detail about how exactly the Prophet ﷺ himself went about doing that. And Aisha, in this narration, instead of explaining, actually showed them. Not that she made ghusl in front of them, but she made ghusl behind a curtain. She requested a container that they said, again, it was as big as a sock. It was enough for a sock. I didn't emphasize that this is enough in water for making ghusl. And she actually made the ghusl. Instead of using words, she actually made the ghusl. And obviously they can't see what she's doing, but it's as if it's understood. It's not necessary for them to see the details. That's already understood. It's as if what they're asking about is the amount of water, and if there's anything special, and just it's as if she's showing that there's nothing really special that you can't see, and that you can't learn from behind a curtain. So they said, فَفَسَأْ وَبَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَهَا السِّتْرُ فَأَفْرَغَتْ عَلَى رَأْسِهَا ثَلَاثًا. This is all they say. She made ghusl behind a curtain, and she poured water over her head 3 times. It's as if she's saying that you don't need a detailed description, or that's enough. And it also shows that the Prophet ﷺ didn't use and it's also, she's emphasizing that, again, it's simple, you don't need to use a lot of water for it. All you need is this sa', which is, again, 4 double handfuls, or a little bit less than a gallon. And the Prophet ﷺ would put water over his head 3 times. And the narrator, apparently Abu Salama said, وَكَانَ أَزْوَاجُ النَّبِيِّ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ يأخذن من رؤوسهن حتى تكون كالوفرة. He said that the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, some of them would shorten their hair until it would be like a wafra. What is a wafra?
Below the ear, I think.
I think that's limma.
Limma?
There's limma and there's wafra. If I'm not mistaken, the limma comes to the ears. ولقد بكيت على الشباب ولمتي مسودة ولماء وجهي رونق حذرا عليه قبل يوم فراقه حتى ركدت بماء جفني أشرقه. The limma, if I'm not mistaken, comes to the ears, and the wafra comes to the shoulders. He said that some of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ would shorten their hair until it would be like a wafra. It would like just come to the shoulders. What does that have to do with anything? Why is he talking about the hairstyles of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ? Yes?
Because you have to wipe over the hair. You have to wipe, take your hands, the water over your head.
So what does that have to do with anything? Why would he think that that's... But why is it a long hair or short hair? What does that have to do with anything? How long your hair is?
The water, the amount of water.
Allah have to hide. Today is inshallah. The amount of water you have to use. If you have a lot of hair to saturate in the water, it may take more. He's saying that if they had very long hair and coming down to their backs, it may have taken more water than that. So it's no reason to be surprised that it only took her this
small amount.
It's not like she was skimping on water. It's as if he's saying that her hair might have been very short. There's another hadith that I think it was Jabir ibn Abdullah radiallahu anhu. A man asked him about Ghusl, and the man said he said that a sa' is enough for you, and the man said it wouldn't. I think the man was actually one of Ahlul Bayt and one of the grandchildren of the Hassan or Hussein, and he said or maybe Ja'far, I don't remember. The man said the sa' isn't enough for me, and Jabir said لقد كان يكفي من هو أوفى منك شعرا وخير منك. There was enough for someone who had more hair than you do and was better than you are. Meaning the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ himself, because the Prophet ﷺ, he had, from what we know, he had long hair in between his shoulders or his earlobes. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. In this hadith, there is the etiquette of a person covering themselves or shielding themselves from other people when making wudu. This is very obvious in this hadith because it's a woman shielding herself for other men who are not all her relatives, but it also is an etiquette in general. And we see this was the practice of the Prophet ﷺ, as we see in the next hadith, which is the last hadith we'll read tonight, inshallah. It was narrated by Hani bint Abi Talib radiyallahu anha أنها لما كان عام الفتح أتت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وهو بأعلى مكة. ثم قام رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إلى غسله فسترت عليه فاطمة ثم أخذ ثوبه فالتحف به ثم صلى 8 ركعات سبحة الضحى. Hani, the daughter of Abu Talib, who was related to the Prophet ﷺ, how?
His uncle.
Hani was...
She is cousin.
His cousin.
Yeah, Abu Talib.
Would she be the sister of
Ali.
Ali. And Ja'far. And who else? Just for the sake of
Aqil.
Aqil. Aqil. No. You said that during the year of the conquest of Mecca, she came to see the Prophet ﷺ when he was staying in upper Mecca. I'm not exactly sure where upper Mecca, what that means, upper Mecca. But what we know, the Prophet ﷺ, when he came into, first of all, that the houses of the clan of the Prophet ﷺ, what clan did the Prophet ﷺ belong to? Yes, Banu Hashim. And the house